the spacemen sail the cosmic bay. From Jupiter to Saturn we'll deliver our freight on our starship, sailing through the interplanetary strait. With a hardy crew and a cargo of dreams, through the nebula's mist we'll forge our own schemes. In the vastness of space where no man has been, we'll navigate, chart the unexplored galactic highway. Heave home mates upon the starry sea. We're the spacemen sailing through infinity. With our voices loud and our spirits free, we'll voyage across the celestial sea. Voyage across the celestial sea.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all doing well in this fantastic, whatever day it is. Wait, let me check my watch. Wednesday. Monday. It's public holiday here. But that means nothing. Nothing, I tell you. Hope everyone is well. Getting into the Christmas spirit. As best one can. Just doing some last minute touch-ups and then we can get on to recording some stuff. I'm doing well, thank you, Coyote, and yourself? Have you been dragged into the war against the bots? I've had several authors let me know that it's been getting worse.
Digging deep in the Martian soil, searching for that precious ore. With pickaxes and heavy hearts, we're the miners of the cosmos.
Changing a whole bunch of settings as we go along, just to make everything sure everything is what it needs to be. Okay. I think that's it. Stream is now monetized. That's good. I can earn my 3 cents. Or maybe even 5 cents. From the ads. No, what are you doing? Okay, and okay. I think that is everything. And I can start paying attention to stuff. Oh, right. Fair enough, Coyote, fair enough. I had to do it because one of them stole my thumbnail. Just straight up stole my thumbnail. Didn't modify it in any way. So, we had to go attack mode on them. Good evening, Emmanuel Kerrigan. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the live stream. That can get closed, that can get opened. Alrighty. This week we've been streaming gameplay. Some people have said that they would prefer going back to a working stream, so we're going to give that a try. I have done some work today, about 2 hours worth. So we're gonna slap in some old Reedy-Foss and read. So there might be some technical difficulties because I wasn't really set up for this, but you know, just making sudden decisions. Hey, my head is partially see-through. Seems about right. We're going to be doing it differently than the last time we did this. So, not recording video. Makes life a bit easier. Let me just turn that down a smidgen. So, we're in the background, nice and soft and smooth and relaxing and all the good things. All right. Just making sure we've got everything that we need. Which be that. That, and that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stories. Don't know whether we'll get to all 10, but aim high. Actually, aim low so the expectation's always met, but aiming high also works sometimes. All right. we're moving to here. Not you. You can go away. We're not gaming. Remove. Yes. We're going to add a browser. Oh. I'm going to add a window capture. Yeah. The right one. This is the right one. Shoop. Something like that. But all the way at the bottom. Nope. There we go. And we can just drag this a bit over this way. And there we are! We can see it. Right. We don't need to see my recording software. Good evening, Sam and Robert. Hope you're doing well. This is TFOS 87, I think. '87. I was right. I think we can fit in. There we go. We're gonna go T68. Oop, that's not what I wanted. Stop doing what I ask you and do what I tell you. Well, what I want, not what I tell you. Cassidy Krug, hope you're doing well. Awesome, awesome. So am I. Work. But, hey, I get people to watch me get ready for work, so I don't know whether it's a good thing. Okay, and we want another window capture. Something like that. Then transform. Top. 125. 135. 50. That looks good. Left. 250. Right. 100. Left. 500. 400. Something like that. Looks good. 200 off the top. There we go. Now I can just make this smaller. We should get that green line over there. Like that. Good evening, Amfrost147. Hope you're doing well. And Ramdog117. Greetings. Hope everything's going well in North Georgia, USA. Okay. Alright, are we ready? Do we want me to tell you a story? Stay a while and listen. All that stuff. So, yes, I was. I thought I responded. I'll do so again off stream, Robert. But again, it will take me a while to get to it, to really read it or anything. But yeah, I probably just put it on the to-be-read pile, and then life gets in the way. You know. Okay, is everybody happy with the setup? We've got the chat over here, we've got the reading over here, we've got the software over here. It's going to go up and down. I don't even think we really need the software. Saskatchewan. Eesh. Sounds cold. Alrighty. Are we ready? Are we steady? Here we go. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Boogie Man, written by Algae Father Anthracite. Chinnock was so bored. His mom said the market was fun, but all the booths only sold food and clothes. He was standing on the edge of a crowd while his mom shopped for fresh perps. He was looking for a toy store or a junk peddler to check out when he saw an old Greblich woman pushing a cart full of books and compads and cool little bric-a-brac.
Ma, I'm gonna go check out the stalls. I'll meet you at the entrance in half an hour, okay?
Chinnock said.
That's fine. Do you have your compad?
She asked, looking away from the pile of perps she was digging through. He pulled out... He pulled it out of his pocket and waved it at her. She smiled and said, "Have fun," before turning back to the perps. He took off at a slow gallop after the Greenwich woman and found her sitting up on an empty corner. She eyed him briefly as she sent out her wares. "Come to shop or to look?" she asked sternly.
"Just look,"
he said. She nodded and finished setting up her wares. Chinnock started to flip through the books and compads. After setting her merchandise out, the old lady sat in a chair and watched the crowd move past. Chinnock saw a strange set of characters on a book and pulled it out of the pile. He opened it and saw more symbols he couldn't understand. He took it over to the old lady and said,
"Granny, what language is this? I don't think I have ever seen it before."
Her slitted pupils shifted from his face to the book in his hands. The pupils narrowed ever so slightly. "It's Terran Common. That's a human book." Chinnock gasped and dropped the book. The old Greblich woman snatched it out of the air before it could hit the ground. "So you've heard of humans?"
"They come for you at night if you misbehave," he said.
The old lady started to watch the crowd again.
"Not exactly. People say they live in space, out in the deep dark between the systems. Supposedly, they originally came from the dirt and grew on a death world, where the gravity would crush most people. It's said that if you follow the law, you have nothing to fear from them. But if you do something bad, they find you, and they come for you. No one knows what happens then. They always drag their prey away, screaming in terror, back to their black ships, away into the silence of the deep dark, never to be heard from again."
Chinnock slowly backed away from the old lady, her eyes now fixed on a faraway spot in the market. Once he was in the middle of the street, he turned and ran towards the entrance to wait for his mother. The old lady's ear, hidden from view, a small comm device clicked on. "Jesus, Dave, I think you made that king... Jesus, Dave, I think you made that kid piss himself." So quietly, no one on the street could hear, and barely moving her jaw, the old lady said,
"I needed him gone. Target sighted. Looks like the Berlin is here selling slaves after all. I'll get the beacon on him, but I'm leaving. I need to get these contact lenses out. They kill my eyes. Getting back to ship now."
Brilliant. Nope. Brilliant. Brilliant had a pretty good day. He had nearly been caught back on Grizzle 4, but had managed to make it out with his cargo.
He had even had a good deal today. If the old Greenwich woman hadn't fallen over him and his client, it would have been perfect. She had weighed a lot more than he'd expected, and she kept thanking both him and his client for helping her up. She had been very physical, rubbing her hands up and down both of their arms repeatedly as she thanked them, a Greenwich custom. Brendlicht was on his way back to his ship when, suddenly, he was surrounded by a half-dozen bipeds wearing black uniforms with the GLQ insignia on their shoulders. Brendlicht Flischlich of the Dentic Prime, you are under arrest for the crimes of kidnapping and sentient trafficking. Submit or be subdued. Each of the Galactic Legal Quorum peacekeepers held out some sort of device. Janik was heading back to the transport with his mother when he saw it. 6 short bipeds were hauling someone onto a black vessel. The victim was being dragged by his collar by a single biped barely half his size, using only one hand. The man was screaming as he went into the ship, only to be cut off as the hatch closed. Janek swallowed hard and swore to himself that he would never break the law as long as he lived. End of story. Short but sweet. Right, let me catch up with everybody. Good evening, Grey Ghost. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while. Well, we do have one where we accidentally shoot down an alien invading force with a manhole. I don't know whether that counts. Alrighty, let's do some basic editing. So, we do a declicker, which is for the clicky of the mouth noises. It removes that stuff. Then we're going into the effects rack and we're adding a whole host of effects. Basically, noise removal, compression, stabilization, stuff like that. Make sure that the highs aren't too high and the lows aren't too low. Yeah, it's true. It's funny. There was also one with a potato cannon accidentally killing a ship. It's like the solar system's biggest potato cannon, used in the defense of Sol, something like that. I could be wrong. I've read many stories that kind of blur together sometimes. Good afternoon, Greg. Hope you're doing well. Joseph, same to you. Alrighty, now it is finished. She had been very physical. Alright. Save. Until story number next. No, that's not the right one. I've confused myself. Open. Okay. Fair enough, Grey Ghost, fair enough. Also, I haven't been streaming too much. Yeah. Statistics, always a pain. Well, you know, relatively speaking. Probably like 60% a pain, 25% not. But you'd have to do a bell curve to actually figure that out. What I know about statistics is basically statistically nothing. What am I doing? Audio output. Audio output, not video. I think I gave my thing the wrong title. Let us fix it. It is 87, not 68. That right? That is right, yes, it's 87. Ow.
Ow. Sorry. That was my system. Volume is ridiculously loud for some reason. Okay, 87. So this one is 88 then. If counting works the way I think it does. That's definitely a pass. Better than what I would do. Yes. Definitely hurt in this confusion. If it's more than 10, I mean, barring a workplace accident, I don't even do halves. Alright, that one done. Okay. Are we ready for the next story? All ready, press 1. All ready, press 2. And if you're not ready, press... I'm gonna have to get some more water. Okay. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest narration. Nope. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest narration. No. Voice. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Re-Tifos, where I take old stories and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Mostly Human, written by Algae Father Anthracite. The scanner passed over the prone figure, moving from head to toe and back again, making a half-dozen passes before finally stopping. The scanner folded itself up into the ceiling and left the room empty except for the raised table the body lay on. In a nearby control room, several scientists and military officers examined the results of the scans.
40% of the creature is what appears to be cybernetic replacements, said one of the technical staff, and almost all of the organic muscle tissue is augmented with a fine weave of polymer strands. Looks like a reinforced to keep... Looks like it's reinforced to keep the organic and cybernetic parts from ripping each other apart. And there also appears to be a thick layer of what looks like carbon nanotube helices. Yeah, right. Plural of helices. There also appears to be a thick layer of what looks to be carbon nanotube helices bonded around most of the skeletal structure, probably more reinforcement. The chief military officer examined the overlaid images with a critical eye, looking for another... The chief military officer examined the overlaid images with a critical eye, looking for anything that resembled a weapon in the ghostly projection in front of him. There appeared to be only one power supply in the whole thing, and nothing that resembled a barrel for projectiles or lenses for laser weapons. In all, the metal parts of the creature were made mostly of high-torque motors, gears, and wiring. There was a small jumble of circuits just below the power supply, clustered near the base of the creature's central anterior nervous channel, from which spread an impressive number of microfilaments. Running to nearly every part of the creature, flesh and metal alike. Makes my eyes be deceiving me? My eyes may be deceiving me, but it looks like there are no weapons in any of the augmentations. Anyone else see anything suspect? There was a muted round of affirmations that nothing resembled any known weapons in implants. The most dangerous-looking thing that they could find was the power supply, which was apparently some sort of small radioisotope, barely giving off any radiation. But it was definitely something to keep an eye on. Several small devices were littered throughout the rest of the organic portion of the creature. Any idea where these other things are? Any idea what these other things are? The officer asked, pointing to several of the small icons in the projection. Another of the techs highlighted the enlarged the devices, and after a couple minutes, highlighted each in turn and stated their suspected function. This is the power supply for the main controller ganglia, he said as they became brighter than the others, then faded and another glowed softly. This appears to be a chemical filter for the things called... This appears to be a chemical filter for the things This appears to be a chemical filter for this thing's cardiopulmonary system. It faded down, and another glowed. Ocular enhancement for only one eye, and this appears to be some sort of nutritional augmentation. It's linked to what passes for this thing's digestive system, which, by the way, if these readings are correct, is probably the most dangerous thing on the table in there, besides the creature itself.
Okay, weird sentence.
I want to go groove in soap sand, just looking at it. He shivered slightly. Wake it up. Start running through the Galactic Standard Language Catalog, see if it responds to anything, and collect the process any verbal com, starting building up a language profile, said the officer. Do we know what it eats? It looks like it's a predator species. The text...
Good evening, Painted Blue. Hope you're doing well. Moustache. Thank you very much for the 100 bits, Postmatic. It's very much appreciated.
The tech, farthest from the main display, looked up from her instruments. It's an omnivore. What? There was a surprised silence. There are traces of carbonized muscle tissue as well as plant matter in its digestive organs, she replied. That's impossible. Plant and meat are broken down by entirely different regions. How can it eat both? He asked the lead tech. A large liquid filled in the organ in the center. She pointed at an irregular blob in the center of the creature, with tubes leading away from the top and bottom, which began to glow softly. That is filled with hydrochloric acid. It renders all of the plant and animal nutrients into a slurry that gets absorbed through these long piles of tubing in its thoracic cavity. They have a ridiculous amount of surface area. This thing's epidermis is bigger on the inside than it's on its outside. It drinks It drinks acid to break down its food? Miriak weeps. It drinks acid to break down its food, Miriak weeps, said one of the low-rank officers. Not exactly. It produces it internally, at a really high concentration, too. Its digestive sac is only 4 days old. It keeps recycling itself, the female tech said. Are you telling me it secretes a controlled substance? Said the chief officer. Nope, different voice. No. Are you telling me that it secretes a controlled substance? Said the officer. Yeah. Said the chief officer. No, more like 8, she said. What? It produces a variety of chemicals that would kill most of the species in the Galactic Senate. There's an enzyme here that specifically targets sugar molecules and tears them apart. A chemical so addictive that it is outlawed in nearly every planet in the known galaxy. And another that's such a powerful stimulant that a few drops would make your journ explode. That a few drops would make your journic explode in your thoracic cavity. That's the bad stuff. The room stood in silence for several minutes as the information was processed.
Ooh, so fast that you're in 2 places at once, Grey Ghost. Okay.
Processed. Which implant makes these chemicals? Asked one of the lower-ranked officers in the room. They come from the organic parts. The extended neural mass in the head makes the delightful superchemicals that would probably show you the face of Muriak right before you collapsed into a quivering puddle of protoflesh. The officer blinked rapidly for a moment, taking a half-step back.
Why did they bother with cybernetics? These things are walking chemical war factories,
said another. No.
These things are walking chemical warfare factories,
said another of the lower-ranked officers.
Well, it's awake, and you can probably ask it soon.
All eyes turned to the monitor that showed the examination room. The creature sat on the edge of the table. 2 months later.
Let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. You are not a predator. I am. I'm just not an apex predator. There's all kinds of stuff that would eat a human if it could catch us. Still happens every now and again. Some bear or lion gets lucky and finds a chance. Takes out a human, said Tim.
He had spent the last several weeks training the translator program to deal with some of the strange idiosyncrasies of the American English.
Then why do you also eat vegetable matter?
The alien asked him. He looked into his large black eyes. It looked like a lizard man from one of those D&D books.
We evolved from foragers to predators, so we have a mixed diet, he said.
Tim was a B- student, and he majored in business, not biology. He kept telling them that he was the wrong guy to ask. He finally started answering questions after telling them that he would probably get some details wrong.
What purpose do your enhancements serve?
It asked. Tim looked at his mechanical forearm resting on the table in front of him. He flexed the fingers self-consciously.
I had an accident. I was hit by a car and a part of my body was mangled, so they replaced them. I got some upgrades afterwards, since it seemed like the way to turn a misfortune into an opportunity. I had my bone and muscles enhanced and got stronger replacement. I had my bone and muscles enhanced and got stronger replacement limbs, so I can perform better than an unenhanced human. I thought it might come in handy in an emergency. Saved a day once or twice with it, so it worked out.
Well, you were hit by a vehicle. How fast was it going?
Don't know, maybe 40 miles per hour, tops.
Did you not die?
Nope.
You did not die?
Well, I spent 5 months in hospital and I had nearly half my body replaced, but it was a bad accident.
Amongst mankind, a collision at 30 miles per hour would kill even our strongest fighters. 20 would be sufficient for most of us. The loss of any limb is also almost always fatal, unless it's surgically removed due to a breaking of bones.
They cut off your limbs for broken bones?
Tim asked, looking horrified.
Is that not why they cut off your limbs?
Asked the alien.
No. They took them off because the bones were shattered into small pieces, and the muscle was shredded. I broke this arm when I was 23. Just needed a cast for 6 weeks. All better. I mean, they set it straight again, but after that it just needs to be kept still while it heals.
Tim held up his flesh and bone arm. Tim held up his flesh and blood arm. The alien looked dismayed by this. At least that's what Tim thought. The mouth was slightly ajar, and he could hear a sort of subvocal gurgle as it processed the new information.
You are not a warrior?
It asked for what Tim thought was the 1000th time. He was a cybernetic arm. He waved his cybernetic arm and said,
I am, for the last time, a very ordinary, mostly human.
End of story. All right. Don't forget updates. Always updates. If you like the story, let the author know. Yeah, I'm more worried about the rude limericks than the soliloquies. Well, I'm not recording video, so I could just be in my normal clothes. I only wear the uniform when I'm recording the video as well. But recording video makes the editing process 2, 3, 4 times longer. So during this period of uncertainty with the immigration, we decided to go text only, just to speed things up. Probably won't do the uniform again until we're in Portugal. Good evening, Ozark. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Somebody rang my doorbell. It's 8 o'clock in the evening. It was a ring and run. Alright. Cheers, Robert. Have a wonderful evening. I have broken... What? Fair enough. It does take many, many squirrels to work a man suit. Okay. Now we'll save. Probably not. It is a public holiday, so probably a kid. You can tell this is in a particularly bad area, because they don't do that in bad areas. Because many reasons. No harm, no foul, I suppose. Yes, yes. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory took many, many squirrels. More than one could possibly even count. Alrighty, story number next. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories from the internet.
Greetings, ladies and intelligence, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular one is called Adaptability, written by Algae Father Anthracite. When the first wave of the Boogie war drones swarmed across the planets of the GLQ, humans, like many species, fought and died by the tens of millions. When the wave broke, many thought the threat passed, but the humans, in their strangely obsessive way, gathered every bit of data they could. Fleet movements, troop placements, supplies distribution, everything. Even the helmet canvas of the GLQ United Enforcement Troops. For years, they studied every battle, engagement, skirmish, and hand-to-claw fight, like only humans can. They dissect and analyze everything. Fair enough. With the speed you're moving, I would not be surprised. Only humans can. They dissect and analyze every bit, sucked every insight from the incidents, outings, and offenses that they could. When the second wave came, we were ready. We were ready because the humans were ready. Only 7 million humans died, less than half of the other species in the GLQ. Their strategy, tactics, and methods drove back the Boogie in months. By the third wave, the Boogie didn't even make it to the GLQ space. Humans had stationed blockade ship. Give me one moment. Sorry about that. It was my dad phoning me randomly. He hit the wrong button. But he doesn't call it this time, so it being an unusual time, I thought I better answer in case it's bad news. Or something. Definitely lining up all the interruptions tonight. There's a dog here. You want to bark? Are you sure you don't want to bark? Okay. The dog says he doesn't want to bark now. He wants to wait for an inopportune time, then he'll bark. Is that right? That's right, okay. So we're all on the same page. Oh. Thankfully, humans at stake. My ringtone isn't. The Boogie didn't even isn't copyrighted in any way. Humans at stake. Alrighty, where were we? The GLQ space. Humans had stationed blockade ships around the Boogie systems and turned them back before they could even start. Less than 10,000 humans had died, and no other species suffered more than a few dozen casualties, mostly pirates and would-be war profiteers. Many think human adaptability is about the way they'll live on a rock with breathable air and liquid water. Some think it is their psychological ability to endure and overcome physical trauma. And while these things are true, what it really refers to is the human ability to pull apart and examine every aspect of a thing. If you need to live on an ice world, send humans. They'll figure out how to survive and thrive there. Need to improve a star drive design? Human engineers will tear it apart, rebuild it, make it faster, more efficient, and hand you back a crate of leftover parts. Need to win a war? Ally with humans, and they will learn how to destroy any foe. Learn every strength, exploit every weakness, rise above any challenge. That is human adaptability. End of story. That's awesome, Ozark. Nice and quiet. Why does my window keep changing? Okay. Declickinator. Scan. Good job. Repair. Good job. Effects. Apply. So interestingly enough, this desktop is AMD, but my laptop is Intel. And this program, the applying all the effects and stuff, works faster on Intel than it does AMD. For some reason. Even though this has more RAM and a bigger everything, really. One of those random things. Alrighty, story number next. Now, the dog is decided that it is boring and shall go annoy somebody else. Well, probably go lying by the door to make sure I don't run away. I'm not. The software is. I am just but a mere humble user of this offensive piece of software. Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Superhuman, written by Algie, Father Anthracite. Tim was driving home from his job at the warehouse. He'd spent the last several years working at a manufacturing plant on a heavy gravity world called Han. His cybernetic implants and augmented muscles and bones made it relatively easy for him to operate in the harsher environment, compared to many of his alien co-workers. His ground cruiser was slower than Earth cars, but did the job just as well. It was racing on Han, which made things move more slowly. Higher weights and slippery surfaces made for treacherous conditions. He was waiting for the traffic lights to change in an industrial neighborhood when he saw the cruiser going the other way break free and skid into a wall. He immediately pressed the emergency call button on the dashboard of his cruiser, an innovation that made it easy to summon emergency responders. He heard the beep and He heard the beep and said, "Cruiser crash," and parked his car. He heard the beep and said, "Cruiser crash." He parked his car on the curb and ran over to the crashed vehicle, now covered in rubble and debris from the crash, the wall having partly collapsed. He heard the sirens in the distance. He looked into the passenger compartment and saw that the roof was collapsed and pinning the occupants in their seats. He stood up, gripped the largest piece of rubble, the large section of plastercrete, and threw it to the side of the vehicle. He heard the sirens get louder and louder as he continued to clear the rubble, giving the emergency responder clear access to the vehicle. When they arrived, they were able to remove the injured aliens in minutes instead of hours.
Tim gave his statement to the law officer and left, leaving the first responders to do their work. He read on the newsfeed the next day that both of the injured aliens had survived, thanks in part to the assistance of a bypasser who helped dig out the cruiser. It was another normal day at the plant for Tim. He was using a grav lift and unit. It was another normal day on the plant. It was another normal day at the plant for Tim. He was using a grav lift unit to roll large crates full of engine parts from the dock to the machining room. He was parking the latest crate on a stack when the alarms went off. Everyone was running towards the stamping room, and Tim went with them. Inside the stamping room, a large retaining bolt had sheared off, and a heavy armature had fallen on top of the lower limbs of one of the plant workers. Tim pushed his way to the front and lifted the broken part off his co-worker. Several others dragged him out from under it, and Tim set the part back down, breathing heavily from the exertion. The plant medic was treating the hurt alien, and Tim and the others went back to work. Tim heard later that the alien would likely be able to walk again, as the armature had not cut off all vital fluids from his limbs for an extended period. As Tim walked home from the food stalls, he liked with a hot skewer of space pig meat and a stack of pita like flour. As Tim walked home from the food stalls, he liked with a hot skewer of space pig meat and a stack of pita like flatbread. And a stack of pita like flatbread. He heard angry voices down an alley. He stopped and listened to what sounded like a mugging. He dialed the police on his compad, gave his location, and started down the alley. By the time the police got to the location of the call, an old lady was sitting with a tied-up miscreant, his arms bound with power cord from a discarded toaster, or at least that's what the nearest Earth equivalent. She had a video on her compad that showed her being harassed by a bound alien, including threatening her with a shock wand. Tim didn't know what it was. That's just the name that helped him eat it. Tim didn't know what the name was. No, that doesn't flow with the story. It's a star up here. Addendum. Over the next several months, more and more incidents were reported. Finally, someone from one of the local news agencies noticed the pattern and started to put together a story. Car accident victims rescued, industrial accident victim rescued, muggers detained with evidence of wrongdoing, children rescued from collapsed building, store robbery stopped by unarmed patron. Little things, big things, didn't matter. The Sofont could help, and so he did. When emergency workers showed up, he either left after giving a statement, or more likely than not, just left. Not all the time, but 2 or 3 times a month. A snippet here about a helpful citizen, a post there about someone receiving anonymous help. Some were seeking a person to reward or thank. Others were just grateful. Over time, the list of needs grew. The posts and snippets were specifically highlighted in the news feeds. The stories of the Sofont strength, calm, and shyness were making of urban legends. Were the making of an urban legend. He would show up to help people, make sure the authorities were there to help before leaving, and never asked for anything in return. Tim was walking throughout the city center one day, on a sunny afternoon. He had decided to get some new clothes and maybe upgrade the model of his compad. As he stood outside the clothing store, looking at the latest in what were passed for alien fashion, he felt a tug on his sleeve. He turned and found an elderly alien looking up into his face. She trilled a little when she saw his features and said in broken English, "Thank you for the crew, me." Yeah. For rescue me. Okay, rescue me. Thank you. Thank you for the rescue me. It was the lady Tim had saved from the mugger nearly a year ago. He knelt down, his 5'10" frame nearly twice her height. "Kay, tough, Ern." Kef tough. Ah, not English. Don't know. "Kef tach, Ern," he replied. "My honour to serve" was the traditional response to the local dialect. My honour to serve was the traditional response in the local dialect. The alien stroked his cheek, and he stroked hers, a traditional familial farewell ritual, not unlike a hug. He stood and walked away, slowly, through the crowd. Several years later, Tim's body was recovered from a burned-down building. It was identified by his cybernetic implants. When questioned, the residents of the building stated that he had pulled several individuals out of the building and had just lowered a pair of juveniles from a second-story window when the floor collapsed. Floor and roof collapses were very common in fires in this world due to the high gravity. When investigators searched Tim's home, they found a diary full of press clippings and journal entries detailing each of the incidents. On the first page, a picture of a Land Cruiser he had dug out of the rubble, and a note said, "Today, I am superhuman." End of story. Alrighty, story done. Chat continue. Clickety click, clickety click. Vata. With energy. Always. Maximum effort. Ooh, still got some coffee. No, I got no more coffee. Boo, cup. Boo for being empty. Maximum energy. Maximum effort. Or overdrive. That works too. Yeah. It's a bit late for me to start up a new pot of coffee. I mean, it just turned 8 o'clock. What are you all doing here? There's a premiere happening. Go there. I'll be here waiting when you come back. Shoo, shoo. But remember, you need to come back. I will just sit here and chat with the chat. I won't work. I won't tell a story. I'll wait for you all to get back. Fear not. I will, whilst the premiere is going on, I shall take a quick break. Go get some more Vata, which, by the way, I still don't have any running water. 3 days. And another 5 days potentially before we have any pressure. So, fantastic. Thankfully today we bought some more bottled water, some 5-litre jobbies, but if it doesn't come back on tonight, which they're planning, we might have to go fill up all of our 25-litre jugs just for the systems. But that is a problem for tomorrow. The problem for right now is hydration. I shall be right back, chat. Of course, the moment I walk away, the music plays at a lower volume. It's great. Yes, under pressure. But is this reality? That's what you gotta ask.
Ship to the stars we shall roam, through the vastness of space, no place like our home. Hoist the sails high, let the solar winds blow. This cosmic sea shanty is a tale we all know. Navigating constellations, charting.
Could see an army of small drones and machines.
Hey, that's me. Me talking to me. That's awesome. I can talk without moving my lips.
From the Milky Way shores to the depths of black holes, we'll sing our sea shanty as the universe unfolds. Sail up high to the galactic sky on our moonlit voyage. We'll keep reaching high. We're sailors of the cosmos, a crew full of might. Let's sing this sea shanty under starry night's light.
Just watching my own premiere so I know when it finishes, so I can start narrating again.
Hoist the sails and let the wind guide our way. We're the spacemen sailing
Meception, definitely.
from Jupiter to Saturn. We'll deliver our freight on our starship, sailing through the interplanetary strait. With a hardy crew and a cargo of dreams.
Interesting. They've
The nebula's mist will forge our own schemes. In the
they've started with goals on YouTube.
we'll navigate, chart the and explore
Interesting.
Galactic highway. Give home, mateys, upon the starry sea. We're the spacemen sailing through infinity.
Fishception, yep, that's definitely a different universe.
Spirits free. We'll voyage across the celestial sea. Oh, voyage across the celestial sea.
I think it's supposed to be like the hype train on Twitch. Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
In the abyss of the cosmos we set sail. Through crimson skies our ship prevails. Across the stars
Rehydration.
of light, mental warriors bound by might.
Always a must.
In this realm of shadows darkness unfurls. A symphony of chaos, where planets swirl and nebula, fury untamed, sailing through the void where nothing's the same.
So I wonder if it does it on the normal stream. Yes, I pull funny faces when I type.
With pickaxes and heavy hearts, we're the miners of the cosmic shore. On this barren land, we march as one, unearthing treasures under the sun. Created plains where
Boo! Monetization's turned off. Boo!
is on this frontier.
Stupid. Okay, now it's turned on.
On the red planet soil, drilling down, down, down for the treasures we toil. With grit and determination,
No, it is, yeah. Okay.
we push ahead for Mars, hidden riches we're truly bred. We're truly
Can't remember how long tonight's Oh wait, there we are. We're ending. Are you ready? We're gonna have an influx of people, maybe. Maybe. Oh, at least can move on to another story. Yeah. Non-offensive. Copyright-free music. It all starts sounding the same eventually.
Sailing through the cosmos, it's my final voyage.
All right, on to the next story.
Stars to my homage in the depths of space. When no one can hear, I'll sing my
Right. Close that. Close that.
raising up the anchor, setting sails to the sky,
Okay.
bidding farewell to this world. No tears
Start goal. See what happens.
Alrighty.
We're back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Fair enough. Although, you could just have meatballs. Pretty much the same recipe. Alright. Hello, hello. And even new people coming from the premiere. Good evening. Welcome. We are going to be reading some stories. And that one was done. Welcome back, Painted Blue. Welcome back. Okay. Story. Oop, we did that. Okay, we're ready for another story. Are we ready to rumble? Oh, no, that's another platform. Are we ready to YouTube? There we go. If I say the R word, I can get demonetized. What a world we live in. Anyways. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Re-Tifos, where I take old stories I've read before and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Cold Rage. By all accounts, Nelvin should be the angry one. The slave trading station had captured one of his colony ships, but he was more worried about Bill. He had never seen the human so angry before. While he seemed calm, Nelvin knew him well enough to know that it was pure control. Bill was never one to shout. He normally spoke softly, though his voice was gravelly, almost like his vocal cords had been shredded in whatever incident had taken his natural eye, arm, and leg. Nelvin wasn't sure what had happened. They'd found an escape pod floating in space holding Bill. Normally, they claimed Bill approached them in a fighter when telling the story, but the truth was they pulled him aboard thinking it salvage. Only much later they learned this Bill was related to the John that had almost wiped his people out. Well, he had initially been torn by this decision. He had hated the human, but they had no choice but to accept his offer to help. They couldn't maintain the ships much longer. To Bill's credit, he never lost control when talking to the slave master on the other end. All Nelvin could think was the man was far braver, hiding his station surrounded by guards and talking to Bill over the transmitter. He doubted an in-person discussion would have been the same. Bill had started out calm enough. "You have a ship of mine. Release it." The slave station's master laughed. The slave station master's laugh was the worst reply that he could have made.
"Bring me a colony ship to replace it, and I might consider it. I am not scared of some silly monster stories. This whole station is prepped to blow from... This whole station is prepped to blow you from the sky. But know this, we will not hesitate to blow up that whole colony ship first. So don't try any of your theatrics here." The guffawing of the oversized throg would have angered Nelvin if he wasn't more focused on Bill at that moment. He noticed Bill's black cloak even recoiled from the human at the response. The glowing of the red eye seemed to fire. He noticed Bill's black cloak even recoiled from the human at that response. The glow of his red eye seemed like a fire reflecting off the screen. "You want a ship, huh?" Bill's scowl made Nelvin nervous. The cloak seemed to unfurl behind him. Then Bill looked up. "I'll bring you a colony ship." Bill cut the communications abruptly. Nelvin watched the cybernetic gently raise and close.
It was calming exercise he rarely saw Bill do.
Bill, Bill.
Bill, we can't doom others to the fate of our being slaves, Nelvin began to object. Nelvin, I know the ship we need. Just have to find it, Bill snarled. The description he gave was of a derelict, not a ship. Nelvin could almost feel the anger coming from Bill, but it wasn't like heat. It was like clawed fingers of ice. Bill gave him an area of space to search through. In the mood Bill was in, he wasn't going to question it. Nelvin had been surprised when Bill agreed. He didn't like slavers. Everything about Bill at the moment screamed danger in what was left of Nelvin's instincts. He excused himself to start searching. In truth, he excused himself to start searching. In truth, Nelvin was relieved to be away from the angry human. He didn't know why they were looking for the ship, only that it wouldn't be good. Their colony ship bore his protective mark, which was well known. The red field with the white skull wasn't very subtle. It was odd how viciously protective the human was of them. The Centaurians. The Centaurians weren't human. It had been the humans that had evicted them into the dark void of space. Bill didn't seem to care. He took care of them. There was no doubting the distance that he would go to protect those he promised to. Bill's reputation in this part of space meant few dared to anger that man. Nelvin thought as he searched. The slaver must be new. The humans might not be a major power in the galaxy yet, but he had seen firsthand how dangerous and tenacious they could be. Nelvin shook his head as he realized he actually pitied the foolish slaver. Everything about the slaver should have driven him to hate him. The only thing Nelvin had seen what Bill... The only thing is, Nelvin had seen what Bill would do when he wasn't angry, he thought. The only thing is, Nelvin had seen what Bill would do when he wasn't angry, he thought. He had watched Bill's merciless interrogation of pirates that had raided them, hardened criminals that always swore that he would get nothing out of them. In the end, they always talk, and normally more words came out of them. In the end, those that survived were doomed to be helplessly trapped inside a Centaurian-controlled suit. They had debated it endlessly when Bill first started to use this technique. It was horrific. They all had to mute the internal speakers of their suits. It seemed excessive, but in combat they had seen its effectiveness. It was one thing to shoot a suit and see no effect. Most species assumed that they were robotic and became more fearsome. It was another to see the damage, and it kept moving. Bill's ominous black suit had Bill's ominous black suit and ever-present cloak added to the ethereal air. He had been present when Bill had taken on galactic military vessels to salvage cores for their broken-down colony ships. Bill had definitely used his custom harpoons to rip the cores straight out of one ship he passed. Out of the one ship as he passed. It had been a 3-to-1 fight, but seemed almost unfair to the three. Bill had warped in on top of them. Nelvin still couldn't believe what he had witnessed that day. He was glad that most of his race knew nothing of where those cores came from. Nelvin snapped out of his memories as he found it. The ship. Bill had asked him to find an ancient human colony ship that had an eerie appearance to it. It was one of their slow boats from before FTL was discovered. He was surprised to find numerous sightings of it passing slowly through near where Bill had said to look. The images of it made it look dead, though. What was more surprising was all the warnings to stay away from it and avoid it at all costs. Reading them, it was clear several alien races had lost crews boarding the ship. Nelvin had a sudden feeling he knew what Bill was about to do. Calling up Bill. "We've found it. I've located it." Good evening, Musket. Hope you're doing well. "We found it. I've locked it into the nav computer. This ship is covered with warnings to avoid. Is this safe?" This got a laugh. I just need to talk to them, and, no.
Nelvin felt the engine's ramp as they jumped. He returned to the bridge. He found Bill fully suited. He even had his captain's rank on. He barely looked up as Nelvin came on deck.
Nelvin, I'm going to go talk to the captain. No one comes with me, just me. The ship is dangerous.
Bill warned him. Bill warned him. One look at the ship, and he could see that it was definitely wrong. The hull had multiple breaches, and lights were flickering.
What do you want me to do?
Nelvin asked, confused and concerned.
Watch, if you like. No matter what happens or what you see, though, none follow me.
Bill's expression allowed for no disagreement. Nelvin had long since given up on his physical body, uploaded into an Nelvin. Good evening, Merlin. Hope you're doing well. Same to you, James. Nelvin had long since given up his physical body, uploaded it into his environmental suit, but as he looked at the ship, even his circuitry cringed. Bill was already leaving. Nelvin watched through the monitor as he went down to the shuttle and took it towards the derelict ship. As Bill's shuttle approached, the name The Verge could be seen on the hull. The flickering lights almost looked excited. He had an ominous feeling from the ship. Nelvin suddenly felt that this was a very bad place to be. Bill's entrance to the ship granted Nelvin a tour. Bill's entrance to the ship granted Nelvin to a sight that even from the camera gave him chills. Dozens of alien corpses laid near around the entrance. Dozens of alien corpses laid around near the entrance. Strange glimpses of movement could be seen as the lights flickered. At one point, a young human appeared in front of him holding a doll. Bill seemed to take it in stride, not even slowing as he told the child,
"Get out of the damn way. I need to speak with your captain."
He had felt shocked to see the child disappear into almost a mist. Nelvin had thought Bill was dangerous, but had never thought of him as anything but Bill. Watching this, the name The Void, as it was whispered in taverns around space, seemed more appropriate. Nelvin watched the terrifying scene as Bill walked to the bridge. Bodies were all along the way. The effect was enhanced by the flickering of the lights. Bill's stride was measured and consistent, though. He didn't appear to care. Once he reached the bridge, it was empty. Nelvin watched fascinated as Bill yelled,
"I am Captain Bill Martin of the Pequod. I am here to speak to Captain of the Verge."
An older human materialized in front of Bill. His face seemed composed, but also hollow, the eyes lacking focus and life.
"Not many would walk my halls so boldly, Captain Martin,"
the voice echoed over the video feed.
"Why do you demand my attention? Why should I not treat you as all others who enter our hell?"
The captain's voice dripped with malice. He was slowly moving around Bill. Bill's response was, by comparison, cold.
"I am here to make a deal with you, Captain."
This caused the other captain to stop his slow movement and stare at Bill. After a couple of minutes,
"What would the living have they could possibly offer the dead?"
There was contempt in the statement. Nelvin realized what was actually happening. Bill was talking to the captain of the infamous human ghost ship. All those tavern stories and government warnings came rushing back to mind. He never believed them to be real. This was looked bad, Nelvin found himself thinking, even for Bill.
"How long have you searched for a home, Captain? Been at least a few hundred years, hasn't it? Tired of looking by now, I bet. And the ship can't land on a planet."
Others began to materialize behind the captain, more than could possibly have fit in such a space.
"I am listening."
Nope, not recording. Oh, recording in the wrong place. Hasn't it? Tired of looking by now. Tired of looking by now, I bet. And this ship can't land on a planet. Others began to materialize behind the captain, more than could possibly fit in such a space.
I am listening, the captain rasped. The voice contained an unbound hunger.
Slavers took something of mine. They demand a colony ship in order to return it. I want my ship and the slaves. The station, the slavers, and even their leader are yours,
Bill stated flatly. The ghosts all stared at him for a minute. The captain sneered. And what makes you think that we care about slavers? We are dead. Again, what makes you think that we won't just kill you and add you to the crew?
Nalvin pulled back in shock as Bill's real hand shot out and caught the ghost captain by the throat, pulling it close. You only exist because of your pain, hatred, and will. Do you think yours is greater than mine? You believe that you can't be touched because you are used to those weak to do so. These slavers are just like those who damned you to this existence. They trade lives of others for profit. Now they keep living beings in cages to face similar fates to your own. You should be begging me to tell you where they are. You lack the courage to bring justice to those who deserve it. Are your hate and pain that weak?
Bill finished the last two sentences in a loud voice, but not quite a yell. There was an almost bestial growl in his voice. Shock played across the captain's face as the other ghosts in attendance jerked back. Nalvin could see Bill's glove was covered in frost, but the ghostly captain was the one who looked uncomfortable. All you want are your people and the slaves? The captain finally asked.
You have my word. You can have the slavers so long as you promise me they'll fully appreciate the evil of their actions. I'll even mark it as a slaver-safe zone on the map, so long as you promise to give me the slaves.
Bill's words were still calm and cold. Nalvin knew he was watched by an unholy... Nalvin knew that he was watching an unholy deal. His existence was essentially that of a ghost in a machine, his consciousness uploaded. These ghosts needed no such constructs to contain them. Their anger and hatred so were... Their anger and hatred was so strong they lingered, something no other species did. He felt a chill at the thought of the power of the human will. You have a deal, Captain Martin. Lead us there, and we'll do the exchange. Once we have the station, we'll send the slaves to your ship, and they will go free. When we get the slavers, we shall send the slaves to you, the captain of the Verge finally said. There was even a note of respect Nalvin thought he picked up on. Bill let the captain of the Verge loose. As he turned to leave, he heard the captain say, I see they call the Void. I see they call you the Void with good reason. How did you leave it?
I don't remember, Captain. Not even sure I truly did, as it came with me. Not even sure I truly did, as some of it came with me. My business is unfinished, much like your own.
The cloak on his back seemed to move at the mention. Nalvin knew the importance of what he had witnessed was lost on him. Bill returned to the ship. Bill's return to the ship was uneventful. Even the lights had ceased to flicker. As he returned to the bridge, he looked to Nalvin. With a smile that made Nalvin cringe, Bill said, Let's go make a trade. End of story.
Alrighty. Up doot, boop doop doop. Good evening, Andrew. Hope you're doing well. Definitely an interesting story. Glad to hear that, Andrew. Just waiting for the program to do the processing. It's a nice sci-fi horror series. But what I like is that all the stories are standalone, so you don't need to have read any of the other ones. Hello, hello to all the new people. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for popping past. It is very much appreciated. Or in a better voice. Hello. Yes, that's true. Because we did the Verge a couple days ago. Last night, actually. No, 2 nights ago. Somewhere around there. Yeah, so that ghost ship one is this ghost ship in this story. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Ugh.
Captain, new crew member detected.
Oh my god, Musket, thank you for the subscription. It's very much appreciated. Yarg! Although that is an oddly poignant accent for the story we just read. I'll always hang in there. Do the do. The secret to life is putting one foot in front of the other. But now it is one story in front of the other. Oh, that's 92. Alrighty. Okay, next story. How are we all sitting? Are we all having fun? Are we all ready for the next story? Give me 1 second to find what that bang was. Okay, back. No idea what that was. Definitely an evening of interruptions. Just a massive bang. Possibly a firework. Car accident. Who knows? Too loud to be a gunshot. Way too loud to be a gunshot. Anyways. Hello, back. Alrighty, on to the next story. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. Nope, this is not the right intro. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Exchange Program, written by LG Father Anthracite. Yeah, no. Normally that's followed by screams. Well, depending. But yeah, I have no idea what it was. Cameras didn't pick anything up. I did a perimeter around the house, didn't see anything. So, it'll be a mystery. Berglicht was appalled at the discipline of the Terran Navy frigate Franklin. He had only been in the officer exchange program for a short while, but since his assignment to the ship, he had already noticed a distinct lack of order and adherence to regulations. The only thing that he had found on the vessel that was up to Terran military code was the life support and emergency life pod system. Almost every other aspect of the ship was out of bounds. There were tools scattered everywhere in the maintenance rooms. The ship's stores were woefully uninvented. There were tools scattered everywhere. There were tools scattered everywhere in the maintenance room. The ship's stores were woefully under-inventoried. There were dripping pipes everywhere. Most of all, some of the cookware in the galley didn't look as though it had been cleaned in cycles. Berglicht was speaking to his CO in the Terran Navy, Chief Petty Officer Williams. His concerns were not, he felt, being taken seriously. Look, Berglicht. Look, Berglicht. Look, Berglicht, I appreciate you taking this seriously, but Terran Navy regs are mostly for inspections, not day-to-day operations. We spend months out in space, and if we tried to keep the regs the whole time, the crew would be... We spend months in space, and if we tried to keep to the regs the whole time, the crew would mutiny.
But, sir, there are clearly safety issues at hand.
Berglicht, everything is fine. All you need to worry about is making sure that you do your job. If there are any issues, let me know. If anyone is bothering you, politely ask them if they can modify their behavior. If they can't or won't, then come to me.
Well, very well, sir.
Berglicht saluted and left the office. Hey, Berg, what's up, buddy?
Nothing is up, Seaman Jones. And please call me Berglicht.
Right, sorry, sir, said Jones.
Seaman Jones, why is the workspace so cluttered?
Because I'm working on a repair right now, sir.
You know you that should be maintaining order while you work. Keeping your workplace in order is part of your job,
Berglicht said, annoyed by the workbench covered in tools. I always keep it tidied up between jobs, sir, said Jones.
Very well, but see that you do. Now, what is on the docket for today?
We have a condenser unit, an impeller from water recycling, and a couple of motors from maintenance. I think we have about 3 dozen inverter units that need to be rebuilt soon. I think we have about 3 dozen inverter units that need rebuilt too.
Very well. I'll rebuild the inverter units. Please work on the other parts,
Berglicht said. Okay, I'll help out. Okay, I'll help out when I'm done, replied Jones.
Hey, Berlicht, how's it going? Very well, Seaman Jones, Berlicht replied.
He looked over the tools in the drawers and the surfaces of the workbench. Everything was tidy and put away.
What's on the docket today?
Nope. Random noises of my brain just trailing off. We have only one impeller unit. We are caught up on everything else, Jones told him.
Excellent. Let us begin,
Berlicht said. Berlicht was sitting in a private booth tucked away in a corner of a bar where he would not be seen. He preferred to relax by himself when they were in port. He found the Terran crewman a little too exuberant for his liking. He heard a table nearby order several alcoholic-based beverages, clearly Terrans on leave. He sipped his drink and listened to their banter. He was only half listening until he heard the following exchange.
Hey, Jonesy, what's it like working with that lizard?
Huh? Oh, Berlicht, he's cool. When he first showed up, I thought...
Oh, wrong voice.
Huh?
Oh, Berlicht, he's cool. When he first showed up, I thought he was trying to be a hard ass, you know. Always telling me to clean up and put stuff away. Thought he was trying to make a good impression. Berlicht was fully engrossed in the conversation on the other table now. Turns out it's more like a racial or cultural thing. I got no head. I got no head for people, especially Xenos, so it took a while to figure it out. Anyway, he never kicked it up to Chief. Anyway, he never kicked it up to the Chief and just kept asking me to fix it. Once I did, he was able to settle in. I'll tell you what, though, he's a machine when it comes to fixing stuff. I've seen him rebuild 12 inverter units in a single shift. I'm glad that we won't get... Definitely getting late in the day. Making more and more mistakes. I'm glad that we got him in my unit. As long as I keep the place tidy, we get along fine. He's a little stiff, but he never dogs me about my work, and he likes the same music as me. I can see his tail, keeping time with it as he works. Also, he's a Nexit, not a lizard. That's rude. Berlicht sat in the booth contemplating what he'd heard. While he finished his drink, he heard the table make their exit from the bar, and he headed back to the ship. Berlicht was walking into the machine shop as usual. Everything was clean and tidy. Jones was sitting on his bench, halfway through disassembling a condenser unit. Good morning, Jones. Good morning.
Good morning, Jones. How was your shore leave?
He said as he started his work terminal. Just fine, did you just call me Jones?
It is your name, is it not? Berlicht replied.
Yeah, but you usually call me Seaman Jones. You always call me Seaman Jones, actually.
We are friends, are we not? You occasionally call me Berg.
Yeah, we are. Jones smiled broadly.
Please turn up the music a little. I like this song.
Berlicht sat at his bench and called up some schematics for the macerator? For the macerator. Pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it, but we're going with it. Live, damn it, live! The technical term would be sibilance, as the S sound at the end and beginning of words. Schematics. Gotta find it funny that the word sibilance starts with an elongated S. Oh yes, full steam ahead and damn the grammar. Some schematics. Berlicht sat at his bench and called up some schematics for the macerator that he was about to repair. We have about 2 hours left on duty. Want to go see if there's any ship maintenance we can do? Asked Jones.
Jones, you and I have been working together for nearly 6 Terran months. Do you enjoy working with me?
Berlicht was concerned that he had made too much of a fuss when he first arrived. After hearing Jones at the bar a few weeks ago, he was wondering how to make sure that he kept in his human co-workers' good graces. Macerator. Berlicht, what's going on? You've been acting weird ever since we hit port a while back. Jones finished, putting the last of his tools in a drawer and closed the toolbox.
Nothing is going on, as you say. I'm simply wish to know if I'm a pleasant co-worker.
Berlicht swished his tail around, nervous about the answer he might get. He didn't think Jones hated him, but he was worried Jones didn't like him. Well, Berg, I'll tell you, when you first showed up, I thought you were one of those stuffy types, because you were always harping on to me to keep my stuff neat. I actually went to Chief Petty Officer Williams. He told me that if you were trying to make sure everything was safe, and He told me that you were just trying to make sure everything was safe, and that nobody got hurt. He said that even though that you were here by yourself, that your people are pack-forming, like humans and dogs. I didn't get it at first. Jones sat in his work stool. He was picking at his fingernails and not making eye contact.
I'm not good with people. That's why I work on machines. I'm sorry I didn't get it right away.
No, wrong person, wrong voice.
I'm not
good with people. That's why I work with machines. I'm sorry I didn't get it right away. I've been trying to get better. I know I leave some tools out every once in a while, but I swear I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I like you fine, Berg. I just don't want to mess anything up. I don't want you to go home and tell people that humans are rude or mean. I don't want you to think that humans are bad because I can't act right.
I saw you on shore leave with your friends. You get along with people, said Berlicht.
Nah, those guys are from my class in basic. We know each other, but we only hang out every once in a while. Most of the time, I leave work and go read till night's out. Berlicht felt relief as he had made a good impression, but felt bad for making Jones think that he had not. He decided to make an effort, as the humans would say.
I enjoy working with you as well, Jones. Can you please recommend a good book to read?
After his time in exchange program came to an end, Berlicht reported one last time to Chief Petty Officer Williams.
Sir, it has been a privilege to work with you and your crew. I hope my performance was satisfactory as well.
Berlicht, I have heard from Seaman Jones that he enjoyed your time together, and he said that you would work with her. And he said that he would work with you again, if given the opportunity, Williams said, standing and reaching across his desk to shake the Nizik's hand.
As I would with him, sir, a fine technician and a good man,
Berlicht said. He nodded to the officer and turned to go. Just a moment, Berlicht. Here, Jones asked me to give you this. Just a moment, Berlicht. Here, Jones asked me to give this to you. He held out a small package. He held out a small package out. Berlicht took it and nodded and left.
Commander Berlicht, what is that photo on the wall?
Asked Grecht, a new technician to his crew.
That crewman is a perfectly sorted Terra Navy maintenance tool chest. It was a gift from a friend of mine. I expect you to keep your tools just as tidy. Understood?
Yes, sir. The technician snapped to a salute. She was so scared of messing up her first rotation on the job.
At ease. Look here, Grecht. All you need to worry about is making sure that you do your job. If there are any issues, let me know. If anyone is bothering you, politely ask them to modify their behavior. If they can't or won't, then come to me.
Yes, sir, said the now relaxing tech. She felt like she was going to be okay. Normally, she was better with machines than people, which is why she went to mechanical out of basic. But the commander made it easy to relax. End of story. Oh, itch. Update. repair. And add in all the good stuff. Noise reduction, etc., etc. I do, however, think that this would be the last story of the evening. My concentration is waning, means more mistakes, more mispronunciations, more starting over. Voice is also, there. It has reached there. And there is where I stop. Because if I don't stop, things go bad. But it has been a 2-hour stream-ish, with all the interruptions, random noises, people ringing the damn doorbell, random banging sounds, all good. At least it's not gunshots and screams. So, you can always look on the bright side. Let's move to the... Oh my god, there's a big one of me. It's hiding in the corner. Good evening, Phoenix. Hope you're doing well. It is my pleasure. I will try do this again tomorrow. It seems to be more popular than the gaming stream. We managed 24 people consistently throughout the whole thing, except for when the premiere was going on. So, yes, I think we'll do this. Who am I to argue? With anything, really. Close that. Just wait for the story to finish, and then save it. Saved. Alright. Yes, disagree. Or Goda. Whatever. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Oh, excuse me. Thank you very much for, I have no idea what it was. Could be a slamming door from one of the neighbors. But anyways, thank you all for spending your time with me. It is very much appreciated. In this economy of attention, any attention you decide to give to me is very much appreciated. Thank you for spending your time with me. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you all tomorrow.